thank you for tuning in to the Curve Uncensored Show. Look, as I always say, I'm not here for a long time, but I am here for a good and informational time. So, before we get into the show, remember everything I say is strictly for entertainment purposes only, nothing more, nothing less. Do whatever you want to do. Okay? So let's get all the way into it. Listen, today I'm gonna be quick. I just want to kind of tap into this conversation a little bit about what's been going on between Lil Boosie and his daughter, Poison Ivy. And for one, the reason I want to talk about it is because a lot of people have been talking about it. And these days and times, it's a hot topic because different parents are experiencing this. And if you come from a certain time frame in life, it's difficult to deal with, you know, the way the world is changing. And your children are in a whole nother generation and you're in a whole nother generation, and things most of the time clash. It could be your children, your grandchildren. You just don't be vibing like they want you to vibe. I've experienced that myself as a grandmother and a mother. But once our children become parents, then they kind of understand if it's not that situation, as far as sexuality that we're dealing with other things, because things are constantly revolving and evolving. When you talk about social media being such a big influence, back in the day, I was growing up, of course, we didn't have the social media in this aspect. I think MySpace started coming out and then it started evolving from there. And the more social media and the more things parents allow their children to see on TV, and the more things children see on TV, the more things they experience with their family and friends, it just makes it more difficult to parent. And as a parent, you can only relate to the things that you can relate to. That's from your time that you were exposed to. So I wanted to kind of tap in on it because I felt like Lil Boosie was getting like the short end of the stick on his feelings about the sexuality of his daughter. Okay. So he was on Young Miami's show, and she, of course, went into the situation about he's always in gay people business. And he was like, nah. I'm not. I don't wake up thinking about gay people. I have gay people in my family. Most people do, right? That's just like I said, that's just the times that we live in. So I'm gonna play a little bit of video and then we're gonna stop and we're gonna talk about it. All right, here we go.
See, why you always in gay people business? Why you always in gay people business?
Can I answer?
Yes.
I don't really be in gay people business. I just speak on what I don't agree with. I don't wake up thinking about gay people. I just might say something every once in a while that I don't like. And as a voice, I have that right.
True.
I have that right for me. I have that right for the sons that I'm raising up to be men.
Mm-hmm.
I have that right. If I don't like somebody doing something that a woman does, that is a woman trait, I'm going to have something to say about it, and you might as well get used to it. What is a woman trait? Your hair, your nails, your toes. That is a woman trait that's been a trait since the 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s. What we looked at women as, she got some beautiful nails. So when me, as a person, listen to these people talking about slanging iron and shit, but you won't paint your nails and do all this other shit, you're double dipping. That is a woman trait. A woman already got to battle up against all these other girls on Instagram. You got to battle against all these other people. Why you got to battle against a man?
Okay, now I can understand his position. Back in our day, when people had men, maybe men or women, had the feeling and the need to want to be with the same sex, it was quiet. You may have had those feelings. We all know people that were, but I mean, I had friends that were. And I personally, I wouldn't want it for my children. Absolutely not. I'm not going to even fake it. But in the event that it was something that happened, I would probably be challenged dealing with it too. Not because I don't love my children or my child, But just because it's not something that is what you're used to, it's not something that you expect, it's not something that you want. It's just like I think these days people are more fluid in their thoughts and their process and the things that they do. Whereas back when I was growing up and around the time he was growing up, there's just certain things you don't do. A lot of things children do nowadays, they would not have been tolerated back in my day. Let's just say that. I don't tolerate it from my kids now. My children are yes, ma'am. No, sir. That's just kind of how I was raised. That's what I put into my children. But you meet some people that they raise their children, they be like, yes, no, or they want to look at you like, who you talking to? That kind of thing. Whereas back in my day, you gave a little bit more respect. And if you wanted to or had those desires, it was hush, it was in the closet. It's like they would say, you were in the closet. But now people are more fluid in the way that they think. It's more things on TV. Like when I was growing up, you never saw a man and a woman like that close in the bed until like later on in years you start seeing. You definitely didn't see interracial a white woman in the bed with a black man. That wasn't happening at all back then. So times change, like young man is getting ready to say. So here we go.
And why the women ain't saying nothing about it? The women, I got a voice. I'm saying, I know I look like I'm in everybody be. But if you say something about it, you gonna look the same way. But it's no woman. It's no woman out there with a voice saying something about a man coming in bed with nails like her. Because if it's cool, it's cool.
Well, ain't much to say.
If it's cool, you gotta let it be cool. If you ain't gonna say that. If it's cool, it's cool. Because you know why? If it's cool, then when your son asks to paint his nails, mama gotta go paint his nails. So we gonna ask him, is it cool with all the parents out there when your child asks you? Because all his favorite people who he look up to, all of them got it. So next he coming to mama. Mama, can I get my nails done? What you gonna say, Carisha?
What I would say is, because I have said some ignorant shit before in the past, and I feel like you have to accept people for who they are. And I think that you're raised that it's wrong. But life is
Yes,
life.
I am.
Life
I'm
is
a
life.
Southern Baptist. I
Everybody
will
is
say that.
different in life.
I'm a Southern Baptist, I will say.
At the end of the day, that's my mom.
Your dad was a pastor. You grew up in the
No,
church.
my grandfather was a pastor.
You grew up in the church.
I grew up in the church. I'm born in the crack area. You had to go to church, or you would be on crack. You had to go to church. Ladies and not everybody went to church. You're right. I'm a Southern Baptist. I feel a certain way about a lot. I was raised a certain way.
Yeah, so I think that's like, we was church, But I think that when you grow, you get older, you wiser, everybody is different in life. Nobody's the same.
Now, when it's not your child, it's very easy to say something like that until you're the person that have to deal with it. When the tables turn and you're the parent, like in the little Boosie situation, and your child is coming to you with these urgencies, and they should be able to feel as if they could come and speak with you. It's just a little different approach to handling those situations. It's very easy when it's not you, because depending on the genre and the time frame of life a person is raised in, it influences the way that you think, the way that you feel about certain things. It has a big influence on how you handle certain situations. It really does. So I understand the position that Lil Boosie is taking, and I understand how he feels. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love his daughter. I can tell that they have a very close relationship. That's why when his daughter was speaking, she was very emotional because she's missing the bond of her father. And It's unfortunate. Hopefully, they will find a way to be able to bridge that gap because that's actually what it is. It's a gap. It's a gap in time. It's a gap in the way of thinking. It's a gap in everything. And it's very difficult for people to get on the same page when they were raised so different. And that's what happens when mothers and fathers are not in the same home most times because mothers and fathers, people are individuals and things that the mother may allow, the father may not have allowed. Doesn't necessarily mean that the child would have come out or came out any differences because as parents, we have to understand that as your children get older, their peers and things, they're with them more or just as much as they are with us. So they have a big influence on the things that they do. I remember when my daughter was growing up one time, I took her cell phone and we have this conversation, right? I took her cell phone and I thought I was doing something. I was punishing her, right? Josh, she had then got on, found the old phone and turned the Wi-Fi on. And I'm thinking she on punishment. Yeah, she ain't talking to nobody on the phone, honey. She done found out she don't have to have service on the phone in order to talk on the phone because you could connect to the Wi-Fi. That's when Wi-Fi was first coming around. So it was just it's just different when it's your children and times change and you're in a whole different era than your children. It's just sometimes hard to bridge those gaps and it makes the relationship more complicated. So let's take a listen.
You gotta love people for who they are.
I do. I mean, I
You
love
do.
people. I
You
have
have
gay
to
people
love
in
your
my
child.
family. I just don't condone the issue. It's not coming. It's not coming. I'm raising a generation.
So when your daughter came out and told you she was gay,
It was nothing. I mean, she still can't bring her situation to our house. My daughter is grown
well, why? She's wrong.
because I don't want it to contaminate her others. It's a generation we raising. I don't want her to get to contaminate it to her other 6, 7 sisters who look up to her. I want them to bring me grandchildren the right way.
Yeah, Boosie crazy.
If I want grandchildren the right way, that's what I'ma stand on. You know, if I don't want my other little girl to look at that and say, "What's that, Daddy?"
Contaminated.
to somebody she looks up to, it's not gonna come around. My grandpa didn't let it. My daddy didn't let it. And I didn't let it. I just hope the one under me, when they take this throne, they don't let it. Because that's not what our family believe in.
Now I understand the position that he's taken on this subject because he does have younger children and he doesn't want that influence. I think the word that he chose was contaminated, and that's kind of why the audience reacted the way that they did because contaminated is associated with something bad, and you would never really use that term when it comes to your children most times. I think he could have selected a better word to express himself, but he was speaking just straight from how he felt. So he did use the word contaminated, and I think a lot of the audience felt that he was wrong for that. He could have picked a different word, but the whole idea is the same. He doesn't want the influence of one child to rub off on the other children that are younger than her and that look up to her because that's not how he would like his children to be. He want his children to and his grandchildren to come into the world, be a man and a woman. I get it. I think it's hard to understand because when it's not your child, it's very easy to look at a person and say what they should and what they should not do. And I think one of the main problems is that people allow the world nowadays, allow the world to help them raise their children as opposed to implementing their values and having their values stand. Because I think oftentimes as parents, and we all have been guilty about it, we try to make our children, we just want them to be happy. And sometimes being happy and being a parent conflict. And I think that's pretty much what's happening right now. From when you have younger children that you're raising, you do have, just like you have to be careful about the outside influences. Like if you have a family member mess with younger children, or, things of that nature, then you can't allow your young children to be around those type people, even though it's family. He doesn't, he considers himself protecting his younger children. So if his adult daughter is leaning towards and made a decision to do those things, he doesn't want it to influence the younger children that most time look up to their older siblings. I get it.
You say we Southern Baptists. You know, I love me and my daughter relationship like this.
Yep.
But when she understands everything, she know daddy don't go, she know. But that's what she chooses to do. But she know we don't go for that. I'm like Whitney Houston mama. You don't stay over there.
Okay. So anyway, that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it for that part of the show, which is what I wanted to kind of talk about. But how many of you all can understand his perspective and where he's coming from? Do you all think that he's being too hard on his daughter, that he should just allow the daughter to come over anytime she wants, bring her girlfriend, when he is totally against it just to make her happy, his daughter happy? He has to be unhappy, or because he's not saying his daughter can't come over. He never told her that she couldn't come over. He just said she could not bring her girlfriend. I get it. He's not comfortable with it. That's his home. He paid the bills, and that's what he wants. So he has to be respected. And I think a lot of times, like I said earlier, as parents, it's very difficult these days because of the influences out here. It makes it hard being a parent. But I feel as if a lot of parents stick to those type of morals and love your child. If you're more of a fluid parent, then it's for you, and you don't mind that, then that's cool for your household. But if you're a parent that don't allow it, you're not in agreement. You can't force it down their throat. You can't make people accept what you're doing as being acceptable because you feel like it's right. No more than someone can tell you that it's wrong for you feeling that way. So I understand Boosie's position. I get it. At the end of the day, I would love my child regardless. But if you're not allowing it, then at the end of the day, you're not allowing it. But I do think that they should talk and try to get a good understanding and maybe keep it off social media. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe.